Welcome back to another episode of Dance Specific Talks. I'm T-zer.
What it do? Coach Sebastian
And
here.
we
Coach
are
Sebastian.
recording from Amsterdam and from Cape Verde per usual. And it's good getting to the end of the year, man.
Yeah, it's
It's
starting.
December.
It's December. Things are moving
What?
fast. Things are moving way faster. It's strange how times keep moving faster every year. I feel it's.
Yeah.
I have a conspiracy theory around that, but if I talk about that, that'll sound we'll lose listeners if I start going with that. But yeah, it's crazy. It's like somebody's fast forwarding. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, we have been busy for a long time. It's not like we have always been busy. So it's
Yeah.
not like we're gone from not being busy to busy, but it's like time just flows by. It just
Uh,
flows by. And just when you thought the year started, it's ending. And
yeah.
you're just like, boom, you're in that like, okay, we need to now look at the next year. And today I got a friend asked me, like, what's your 5-year plan? And I'm just like, oh my God, like I don't even like I
Uh,
don't even feel I know what I'm gonna do next year
right.
because there's just so much in my head and there's so much to plan
Yeah.
that just to imagine 5 years ahead is like really hard. Do you struggle with that too? Like time dreaming or time perspective like
As
that.
I dream big, right? I feel it's the only way to do it. So I'd say I have clear mileposts I want to reach, but at the same time, it's really hard to see, right? Because 5 years ago I was 28, like I just done my second knee surgery. I'm still in Spain. Like it's really hard to see that, and then that I would actually live this life I'm living here now. However, if somebody would have asked me, I would have said like, yeah, fuck yeah, you know. But it's the details that comes with a 5 year plan. I know what I want to do, and I know what I'm aiming for, but it's the details. It's like, okay, but, and I think that's the tricky part. I think that's what a lot of people get stuck. It's like, okay, but okay, what do you want to do in 5 years? Okay, but I want to have a healthy daughter that is 6.5 for you, right? I want to have a healthy daughter 6.5. I want to keep dancing. I want to have make more money. But then the question, okay, but like how much? And then you start to think about how much, and then it's like, but how do I calculate that? And then you get stuck in the details versus thinking more in the what, right? And a lot of people get stuck in the how almost, and it's almost like overwhelming. Me and my business partner, we talk about that a lot. He have a tendency to be very like, okay, but how are we gonna get there? How are we gonna do it? I'm like, but I don't know. We don't need to know. We don't need to know how we're gonna get. We're just gonna get there. But then again, you need to take it down and put it into paper, right?
Mm. Exactly. And I also feel like you and I are now, yeah, we're not in the mid 30s yet. We're like still in the first half of our 30s. But they always say like whatever you do in your 30s kind of determined, the rest of your life and whatever habits,
Yeah,
whatever habits you have now, or if you have patterns, you
yeah,
are more likely to keep having those
yeah.
after you
That
are 40 and up. So it also is like yeah, it's just an interesting period of my life. I think I can relate a lot to being in my 20s. And still, I feel like I have some kind of sort of responsibility to myself above 40.
yeah,
And you're just in this limbo.
yeah. It's super. It's really interesting. It's really really interesting. We are. I think it's also when you're running a company that you get forced to look into the future a lot. And I say, if my company looks the same in 1 year from now, I'd be extremely disappointed. Extremely disappointed. Like it needs to happen some quantum leaps. Where design and the quantum leaps are designed, right? And for you guys who don't know, when people are referring to quantum leaps, it's like big jumps, right? I think a quantum leap could be like for a normal person, it's like if you go for fame, right? It's like going from being a normal influencer to being on television, or
Mm.
going from 110,000 subscribers to having like 1 million subscribers. That's a quantum leap. It's a huge step in whatever direction, right? So it's like it's the Kardashian before the porno, and then it's Kardashian after the porno. It's like that is a quantum leap. Like the world, like their world must have changed, right? Like the whole world changed. Uh,
Mm.
so, and it's the same thing with like is the quantum leap pre-COVID and after COVID when it came to just digitalization of the world. So
Yeah.
much became more digital, so much more.
Yeah. And like all this thing of like working online, like before it was like a selected few that have remote jobs, and
Yeah,
now it's like almost every single job can be done remotely
yeah,
because we see that it actually worked somehow. And at the same time, we learn from COVID that we also value human contact and we
yeah,
value those like real life things. Yeah, it's so funny. Like parallel to dancing, one of my biggest like interests, whatever I watch when I have like the few little free time on Netflix that I treat myself with, is like nature documentaries. And even nature right now, is going through this massive quantum leap too,
yeah,
not per se in the right direction, but like animals around the world have to adapt. And this is like the sixth time Earth is reorganizing itself for all these challenges. Like, there will be so many species that won't survive this change, and there will be those who adapt and will keep on living and outlive us.
yeah,
And so when you zoom out of it, we're just in this constant change. We're species that constantly have been on the move, constantly have been looking for this next
yeah,
ground to settle, the next thing to build, the next thing to invent. And I think as dancers, we are not an exception in that. We keep on looking into, how to move forward. I don't know. It's such change is such a part of our life, and still it's the scariest thing of it all because change just mean that you're going into something unknown and you
yeah.
just don't know.
I think one of my favorite examples of that is when it comes to dancing, at least that I can put my finger on. It's the founder of Crump Tie Dyes. Did you ever interview him, by the way?
I have not interviewed tie-dyes, but it would be like a dream to do that. Maybe
Yeah,
we should
because
see if we can
remember,
find him.
what was it was the Rice was the name of the documentary, right? Like that's how we all got to know
Yes.
tie dyes and like real like ghetto hip hop, like street kid, like that type of character, right?
Mm,
And then I fell off like him. Like I just went and I stopped following him essentially. And then just fast forward a couple of years, I think he was on So You Think You Can Dance. And then all of a sudden he's an amazing choreographer and doing all of this commercial shit at the same time. It's just like, wait, what happened? It's like, oh, he adapted. He adapted,
mm,
he changed, he did what he did, and then he's still Crump. He's still the king of Crump, you know what I mean?
mm. Yeah, it's so cool because I've interviewed some of these type of dancers that have like started somewhere and ended somewhere completely different.
Yeah,
Like, I interviewed one of J-Lo's like main background dancers. Her name is Nelly Bettel, and we used to dance together in Denmark. She's a house dancer, and she used to just battle, like battling, taking classes, teaching. And then she just took that leap of faith, moved to LA, and became like one of the main like J-Lo background dancers for years.
that's awesome.
And and now she has to change again because she just can't stay being like in that field all the time. So now
Yeah,
she's going into more Broadway musicals, that type of thing, choreographing. And it's just amazing to see how somebody can just keep on keep on doing it. Yeah, I
yeah.
see a lot of dancers that go into film as well, either as acting. Like there's a worker called Bagsy, who's now one of the actors in the new Gladiator movie,
Oh,
and he's a
really?
whacker. Yeah, and
Shout out to
it's
him.
funny. Yeah, it's funny to just see. Like I had an interview with him during COVID, and it would be fun to like talk to him again now. We'd just be like, "Oh, you swapped. You're in the film industry now. How
Yeah.
interesting." Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. I want to go into Nollywood, Nollywood or Bollywood. I don't want to. I don't want to do Hollywood. I want to do all Nigerian Hollywood
I mean, you're
or
pretty you're
Bollywood.
closer to Nollywood right now
Yeah,
geographically
I'm,
than
I'm
you
probably
ever been to Hollywood. So
I'm probably closer to Bollywood. Let's imagine Bollywood. Yeah.
imagine.
But first things first, we're gonna flip this. We're gonna flip this company around and really swing for the fences, and that's one thing I'm super excited about.
Mm.
2025, we are doing. We're coming back to an old vision and swinging for the fences once and for all. I started dance specific training. I started training dancers. Judith Cordero, who is the creator of Bachata Central, being the first in 2014, 2015. 2017, 18, 19, we founded the world's first festival for Afro-Latin dancers. That is a training specifically for Afro-Latin dancers. So training festival for Afro-Latin dancers called Be Fit and Sensual. And then COVID came. And then I moved. So I moved to Malta first, then I moved to Sweden because Malta and so Spain was just terrible during COVID. Then it was Malta was also terrible during COVID. Then I jumped to Sweden and then went back to Malta and I went back to Sweden and I went to Cape Verde. Once I came to Cape Verde, I just had 2 years of just focused on my personal brand and just focusing on me, learning Creole, learning my culture, getting to know my family. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. And then now we have just, and then this year has been just nothing but transformational. I did TEDx. I did, that was last year rather, but no, it was last year. I went to Brazil for Web Summit. And once you go to Web Summit to Brazil, you truly understand how strong the ecosystem of Lusofonia is. Lusofonia is every country that speaks Portuguese,
Mm.
including Brazil. Brazil, Portugal,
Mhm.
Angola, Mozambique, which is like, I think Brazil by itself has 200 something million. Mozambique has like 30 something. Angola is also like 30 something. And once you understand that, how big that is and how much that ecosystem, how strong that ecosystem is, that was a big game changer for me. And then I went to Jali, which is the Young African Leadership Initiative. And I just studied a lot. And there's just 6 weeks of just intensely focusing on my company, right? And then you put everything in perspective. So it's like, okay, but what have I done? Where did I go? Where did I start? Where am I now? And on top of all of this, I also lost my Instagram almost twice. Actually, I lost access to my Instagram the other week once again. So one of the things that I've always wanted to do is to start doing certifications. I want to create a team of dance specific trainers. I recorded that before. I started with Alemana from Attacking Alemana during COVID also. Then just life happened, so we didn't complete it. But this time we're really swinging for the fences, and that is the quantum leap that we are waiting for, or that we are designing rather. So I'm super excited about that, which means I will start traveling once again. Just story of my life, I feel. Every project I do, it's always involved traveling. And yeah, I'm gonna just start certifying other trainers that wants to understand and wants to help us on this mission and creating a world where we are redefining dancers, where dancers are no longer these types of second-hand athletes that are standing behind, second-hand citizens of a show that are standing behind artists and always got to push through the pain, and there is no proper training, no proper. We're changing that forever with the dance specific training movement. It started as the Be Fit Essential movement because we're focusing exclusively on Latin dancers. Now we're focusing on dancers in general. So I'm so excited about this. Start certifying people, bringing people to Cape Verde for retreats, start running festivals once again. It's going to be a dancing year, so I'm super excited.
And like, would you then start licensing dancers from any type of style?
Yeah, most definitely. So as much as we want to redefine dancers, we also want to revolutionize the dance schools. So what Zumba did is in 2000, in early 2000, Zumba brought dancing into the gyms. We want to bring training into the dance schools in 2024 or 2025 rather. So that goes. We're starting with instructors. Merch is obviously given. Making sure that we go to training equipment that are again specifically for dancers. I've done been to an endless amount of fitness expos, and I have folders and folders and folders and cards and notepads filled with just training equipments that would be designed for dancers. And yeah, that's so it's happening. And it's the same thing now, even until today. It's like if you go on dance master class or whatever, it's super nice, but it's for modern, it's for contemporary, and it's for ballet. And until today, while I'm looking at it 16 years later, I'm still looking at it and I feel the same frustration because this is not for me. I can't relate to this. I can't
Mm.
relate to what I'm looking at because they are talking languages that I don't relate to. They're talking about pirouettes, but in my language, it's called spins. They're talking about
Mm.
second position and third position and all of these things. Like you are obviously not talking to people that are in my situation or doing the styles that I do. So yeah, we're swinging. So we're starting with that, and it's not even starting because we've been doing it since again 2014, right? But it's a new energy coming in.
Mm. I like that. I like that. I think it's also like uniting this overlooking umbrella because there's so many dance styles. Like we have just in couple dancing, you have tango and zouk and compa and kizomba and bachata and
Yeah,
salsa one, salsa two. Like there's just so many styles where people are also coming in later in life and maybe
exactly.
are not trained to endure like, 40 hours of festivals
No,
every
but
other weekend.
exactly. Who is? I'm a professional athlete, and
Mm,
even for me, it's hard. Even for me, it's
mm,
hard. And I'm again like I train and I stretch and I do everything that I'm supposed to do. But after a festival, even me, my body, I feel like like that was it's been heavy. Like I've
it's a
used my
lot.
body. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But now if you're a desk worker, you've been working and then you start dancing in your late 30s, early 40s, which a lot of us do, and then you come in and it's like I talk to dancers when we're doing these coaching calls that started dancing 2 years ago and they are in their 40s, they got through a marriage and they separated and now they're redefining themselves, and even they are like, yeah, but I mean I'm not really a dancer. Like, but what are you talking
Mm,
about? You're only dancing is the only exercise you're doing, is the only thing you do outside of work. They're like, why are you not a dancer? It's like, well, but I'm not professional. It's like that is not the only thing that makes you a dancer.
mm,
That is not the only thing that makes you a dancer. That might be the only thing that
yeah.
makes you a professional dancer, but it's not the only
Yeah.
thing that makes you a dancer at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Mm,
I'm really excited about this. Really, really excited about this. Teaming up
yeah.
with bigger people, with dancers, teaming up with other professional health practitioners, and we're swinging for it.
I love that. I love that. The energy of 2025
Let's
coming
get
up.
it.
I mean, we're in very similar journeys, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
also planning like my first retreat and
exactly.
it's exciting and it's that scariness because of like people that do yoga go to retreats. People that are doing like other things go to retreats. But we don't have a lot of dancing retreats. We have
Yeah,
festivals, we have boot camps, we have battles, we have all these other things. But it is a new way of seeing like you can treat yourself. You can come back from a retreat and feeling stronger, rested,
yeah,
and empowered rather than exhausted. I mean, you most of the times fulfilled, but you're usually exhausted. You have a complete lack of sleep, you're tired, you maybe have an injury. It's just a different way of looking at it.
yeah,
And I'm just excited to create something for for my ladies that is going to fill a bigger thing where you don't always have to be into yoga to do something that is like nurturing and feels healthy and where you get to eat good food and where you get to have great talks and where there's like a whole the whole circle,
Yeah,
not just hours and hours and hours of
I love
dance.
it. I love it.
So yeah, I'm into that, and I'm also starting to feel that it's I have some students that are kind of tiptoeing around maybe creating something of their own, whether that is their own choreography or maybe starting their own little class in their own village or wherever they come from.
Yeah,
And I feel that like there's a lack there. Like between being a participant and being a teacher, there is like this unknown gray zone where like where do you start if you want to do a video with your friends? Where do you start if you want to maybe give a class for fun at your gym or at your, how do you start there? Because
yeah,
you don't want to do a 3-year professional dance education
of course
in
not.
classical dance. And you are not going to do a PT training education. So what is it in between?
Yeah,
So I think that you and I will,
it's happening.
definitely
It's happening. It's
collaborate.
happening. Come on,
Um,
of course. That's given. I'm really
yeah,
excited also to see where your teacher training will end up. I think that is going
yeah,
to be super valuable for us over here.
mm, yeah. Me too. I'm excited, and I can really see, again, like you don't have to like leave your job and become a professional teacher full time. To be honest, there's not a lot of money involved in that if you're not running your own dance school. The jump for you to become a leader within a little group that likes to come together and move, it's not that far. Like it's closer than you think if
And
you
it's
just get
super fulfilling.
it's super fulfilling and you get to be someone that inspires and give joy. And that, if anything, is how you create community.
Yeah,
And that is how you work with your neighborhood or how you help elders or how you know, relieve parents an hour to get their kids moving so that
yeah.
they can have time for themselves. Like whatever fills your heart, it's closer than you think. And I am really excited to kind of guide people into that because it helped me to have a very fulfilling life so far. And yeah, I want to give some of that on.
Yeah, yeah, right. And I think when you there is a in Cape Verde when you turn 33, everybody tells you, "Oh, you're the age of Jesus." That's
Oh,
that's what everybody's saying, and that becomes like it becomes a thing, right? It becomes a thing in your mind because you hear it so frequently. It's like, how old are you? Age of Jesus. I don't even say that I'm 33 of anymore. I say, "Edad de Jesus." It's like, ah, it's cool. Everybody know you're 33. But then, but why is that? Why is that? Why is that a significant number? If you go into numerology, the three obviously matters. The three is a powerful number. So it's like, okay, but what is it? What does it represent? Okay, but Jesus died, but then he got reborn. So I believe that there is something more deeper, ancient with this age. And this is why I'm feeling it's like, yo, if I don't swing now, if I don't fully go all in on creating this global movement where dancers are training and stop competing against other coaches and start competing against Zumba, start competing against Les Mills, start competing against Animal Flow, and like in all the positive ways that competition brings, right? If I don't start doing that, I know that's for a fact. I know I'm gonna regret this when I get older. Like it's a
mm,
now thing. It's a now thing. The coaching business is amazing. I obviously gonna keep doing coaching, but I'm adding this thing and it's happening now because there has been so many times when I've tried to do this. There has been several times where I gathered a team and I've tried to lead people, but I wasn't who I am today, so I couldn't fully do it. My vision wasn't clear enough. I wasn't the man I am today. I wasn't the leader, the servant leader I am today, and I'm the age of Jesus. So if there's any time, it's now.
either you die or you are reborn.
Hey,
That's basically the
hopefully both.
message.
Hopefully both.
Yeah, no, I think
That
it's
is a fact.
exciting. It's exciting. Like,
Priscilla.
I don't know about a lot of things coming 2025, like around the world, if there's a lot of new things. But um it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting because I feel like we're finally picking up some pace after COVID. And at the same time, people seem to be very much like more aware of what's what's actually good for them.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see all these business ideas. Like I have a friend, she just started her own ceramic company. She's doing like plates and cups and stuff. And I'm just like, oh yeah, go for it. Like again, like now is the time. If you want to
Wow.
try a dream, this is the year, this is the time. Another friend of mine, Annos, as you know, like she's organizing these really wholesome events in Gothenburg, finally like an international event where people can come together in different art disciplines and like come and hang and share this feeling of being home or longing for home. Like I just feel that I have a lot of inspiration around me and I want to keep giving that to others, like inspiration to go and to try and to also be a little bit like I know your business partner Dave has this countdown on his computer where like you're counting down to like the average age of when you're gonna pass away
Yeah.
and it's just ticking down.
Yeah.
We're ticking down on summers, we're ticking down on how many Christmases, how many trips, how many moments you can have with your family and all of this. So yeah, we don't have the luxury of waiting too long to see if something is coming to us. We
Yeah.
kind of have to dare to fail, and I'm saying that loud to myself as well, dare to go for something and to also be okay if it doesn't work out. At least you tried it and you don't regret not trying it
Yeah.
later on in life.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Rather swing and miss than not swing at all.
Mm.
For sure. For sure. For sure. So yeah,
Boom.
future's looking exciting. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Like talking about that, exciting. Do you want me to ask you a question?
You want to move that soul?
I want to move that
You
soul.
want to
You
move
want to
that
move that
soul? Let's move that soul.
soul? Ooh, I actually don't know this about you. So I pulled an S card from the Move That Soul box, and I'm telling you now, it's almost Christmas. If you want to get something for a dancing friend,
And this is
don't
it.
hesitate to
The
get a
world's
little
first
fun
card game for
box.
dancers.
Yes, it's really fun. Like you can really have a lot of fun with your friends also. Like I've known you for what, more than 10 years, and I still don't know this thing about you. What is your earliest memory of dance? Earliest.
Earlier.
Earliest.
My earliest memory of dance is I am probably six, between 6 and 7, yeah, 6, 6, 7, somewhere there. So for you guys who don't know, my mom is a professional dancer, and she moved to the States when she was very young, right after school. She studied dance there. She came back to Sweden, had me, always been teaching like step up and stuff of that, stuff like this. And yeah, so naturally she wanted me to dance, and I also, I guess I showed an interest in dance, right? So I go to a dance class when I am 6, 7, and I think I think I was late, so they had like done 2 classes before me, and I was the only. I think I also was the only boy, and I remember dancing and like they started and I didn't have any like warm up. They were just like boom, big mirror, loud music, a lot of people, a lot of parents watching. You're standing in front, and I just remember bursting out in tears, like
Oh.
bursting, like I'm crying my eyes out. I'm crying so much that my mom takes me away and we leave. That's the first class. The second class, I come back and exactly the same thing happens. And I remember I lived, so I can't be, yeah, 6, 7, something like that. And I'm crying so much, and I'm so scarred after this that I remember that as a kid, I still remember this. Like I ignored mirrors. I didn't look myself in the mirror while I was brushing my teeth. I remember my mom had a big mirror in her room. Like I didn't look in the mirror. I just avoided mirrors by any means necessary for I don't know how long it was, but for a long time. Yeah, that's my earliest memory of dance.
Oh my God. But somehow you managed to come back though. Like,
Yeah. You
uh,
know, 12 years later, I start dancing again.
damn, it took
Yeah,
you
that's my
12 years.
yeah. That's my earliest memory of dance, and I clearly remember avoiding mirrors, even as a like this is like I am. This is preschool, so I'm in kindergarten when this is happening, or like whatever between school and kindergarten, whatever that year is called. But yeah, that's my
Wow.
earliest memory of dance. Yeah, and I remember it so clearly.
Frightening.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy. Yeah, you could never
yeah.
imagine that now.
Crazy, yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah,
Wow. Okay. I did not know that. Thank you
yeah.
for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Mm.
Ask yourself something.
Uh, okay. Describe a time when you exceeded your own expectations and what motivated you.
Nice.
Um, well, there's a few of those moments.
Yeah,
But I would say that I'm forever grateful for like the peak of my battle experience actually because I'm like I was like in a very underdog group. You know, I was training dance hall, but I also wasn't really in a crew at the time when I was competing the most. And I just remember that it was this choice we had to make, like, are we gonna compete in Street Star because they now finally have dance hall? And I just remember me and Angelica has started to do battles. Angelica Passion, shout out. Um, she also really wasn't in a crew. And then we were like, we need a third person because it was a 3-on-3 battle. And we're like, which is like one of the strongest dancers we know from Gothenburg. And we contacted Henna from, yeah, which now is in Blackout Crew. But yeah, she trained out in Angered in a suburban area of Gothenburg. And the three of us are very different personality-wise. We had never really worked together. We just were battle heads. Like we liked battling, we liked freestyling. We were strong solo, but we needed to be strong in also routines for people that don't know dancehall. It's a lot of routines. And we made it past rounds after rounds after rounds in Street Star until we got to the final. And it was on the big stage in front of all these legends, you know, the hip hop legends. And I never thought that I was going to get to the final in Street Star because I was never that strong in like hip hop or popping, house or locking, which were the other styles. Um, but to represent and to come to the final within dance hall and that being one of the wildest battles that people still sometimes talk about where like you really saw women go head to head. Yeah, it's one of the craziest experiences I've had. I really exceeded my own expectations, and I think being that dancer that are a little bit like an underdog was really the motivation, like to pass rounds where we actually got through other people that have been in Kruse for years and just being like our pure passion for this style was like what motivated us to kind of be like we have nothing to lose. We don't have a crew reputation. We just made up a name and we just wanted to like battle. And yeah, I think that that was the motivation, to be honest. Nothing to lose. So yeah, that's just one of many times I exceeded my own expectations, but it's definitely one that I don't think I will ever have the chance to relive because I'm just not battling anymore. But yeah, one
What
for the books.
what was the name of your crew? Of your crew?
Gbg Yardies.
30s. I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
Oh,
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good
yeah.
story. That's a good story.
Yeah. Yeah, it was right when my Kizomba world took off too. So it was kind of like that last push.
Yeah,
And then my world changed and I started touring with Fuse Fam and doing other things. But it's still one of the, yeah, craziest for my personal
yeah.
expectations exceeded. You know, that's one of them for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Ah, yeah.
That's a great
All
story.
right.
All right,
Well,
Amelia. That's it.
we see each other next week. And
Yes.
shout out to people out there. If you have any dreams coming for 2025, comment below. We
We
want to
would love to
hear,
hear
we want to
them.
see. And yeah, don't be shy. Time to manifest. Let's go. Don't forget to click subscribe, comment below, and give us a rating or review. We have a Facebook page, YouTube page, and we are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and all the other podcast platforms. We also have an Instagram, so don't forget to tag us in your favorite episode and share it with the world because we read all of it.